So we're diving into a stack of really fascinating historical records today. We've got archives from the war at 1812, museum notes, some deep research into the early American economy.
Right.
And the mission for this deep dive is pretty specific. We're trying to find the hidden hand behind some of the most famous symbols of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone pictures the Star-Spangled Banner flying over Fort McHenry. But until I went through these notes, I had no idea who actually held the needle.
It's a side of history that, well, usually gets glossed over. We're digging into what historians are calling the foundational Black American contribution, FBA for short. And it's a framework that helps us move past just seeing Black history in this era as, only about suffering. Instead, you look at these individuals as the literal builders of the nation.
And when you say builders, you're not being poetic.
No, not at all.
I was looking at the specs for that original Star-Spangled Banner, and the scale is it's absurd. 30 by 42 feet.
It's huge.
That's bigger than my entire apartment. It took 400 yards of wool.
So heavy, about 50 pounds. That Mary Pickersgill, the flag maker, she couldn't even work on it in her own house.
Right, so she had to rent time in a brewery nearby.
Just to spread it out on the malt house floor. But the interesting thing is, Pickersgill wasn't there alone.
And this is where I found the name Grace Wisher, a 13-year-old girl indentured to Pickersgill. And looking at her contract details in these archives, it's rough. So Pickersgill had a white apprentice who was legally promised an education, reading, writing.
Sure.
But Grace's contract, it only promised instruction in the art and mystery of housework and plain sewing.
That phrase, art and mystery, it sounds nice, but it's such a specific legal weapon. It was a tool of suppression, really. By legally denying her an education while, extracting this high-level skilled labor, the system ensured she remained in a permanent underclass. That's the core of the FBA designation.
So these are people whose labor was essential, but who were systematically barred from the benefits of it.
Exactly. So you have a 13-year-old girl on her knees on a brewery floor, stitching the literal land of liberty while being legally trapped.
And the irony is, if you look at who was actually under that flag when the British were shelling Fort McHenry, you find the same dynamic.
You're thinking of William Williams.
Yeah, an escaped enslaved man who joined the 38th U.S. Infantry. He didn't just survive the bombardment, he died defending that fort. So the flag was stitched by unfree hands and defended by a man who had to steal his own freedom just to fight for it.
It just shifts the whole narrative. It goes from these symbols were given to Black Americans to these symbols were created and preserved by them.
And it wasn't just in Baltimore. I was reading about the Capitol building in D.C.
Oh, absolutely. This pattern of reliance on high-level Black skill is everywhere.
The Statue of Freedom, the big bronze statue on top of the Capitol dome. Apparently, the original white artisan refused to take the plaster model apart to cast it.
He was holding the project hostage, basically, demanding a pay raise.
And the government wouldn't pay. So they turned to Philip Reed, an enslaved man working at the foundry.
And he's the one who figured it out. He solved the engineering puzzle of how to separate the sections and cast the statue. It wasn't just manual labor.
It was intellectual property.
Precisely. And you even see this in the private sector with guys like James Fortin in Philadelphia.
Fortin is such a cool counterexample because he wasn't enslaved. He was this wealthy Black entrepreneur.
But still an FBA builder. He invented a new type of sail that let ships maneuver better. He didn't just stitch sails, he revolutionized maritime handling.
And used his fortune to help fund the war effort.
So whether it was Reed's engineering, Fortin's innovation, or Grace Wisher's craftsmanship, the early republic was, well, it was running on this specific pool of talent.
Which makes the visual erasure of it so weird. There's this famous 1962 painting of the flag-making process. It shows Mary Pickersgill, her nieces, the white apprentice.
But no Grace Wisher.
She's just gone. She lived there for 6 years, but she didn't make the cut for the painting.
That visual silence is what modern historians are trying to fix. The Star-Spangled Banner Flag House Museum, they actually added a ghost figure to the glass, protecting that painting. Just a silhouette of a young girl sewing. It's a way to force you, the viewer, to acknowledge the labor that the original artist chose to ignore.
I love that. The concept of a ghost figure, it's like she's haunting the history until we acknowledge her.
It makes you look at it differently.
It really does. It makes you wonder, when we look at the fabric of the country metaphorically and literally, how much of it was stitched by hands that history just tried to crop out of the picture.
And that's the lingering thought, isn't it? If the physical symbols of American freedom, the Capitol dome, the flag itself, if they were crafted by people who were denied that very freedom, how does that reshape your understanding of the land of the free?